As though this story could not get more dramatic, we now have new details of a polygraph test that Stormy Daniels took in 2011. There she is. This polygraph test essentially says that she was telling the truth about her affair with Donald Trump dating back to 2006. More specifically, that she was being truthful about having unprotected vaginal intercourse with Donald Trump in July of 2006. Now, just to back up for a second and to remind everyone, remember that Stormy Daniels did an interview with Life and Style magazine in 2011. And as a part of that interview, because the author and the people involved in that interview wanted to make sure, or wanted to try to confirm that she was telling the truth, they hired a person to do a polygraph test on Stormy Daniels. And that is why this report is now surfacing. The three questions that were asked as a part of the polygraph test. One, around July 2006, did you have vaginal intercourse with Donald Trump? She answered yes. Did you have unprotected sex with Donald Trump? She also answered yes. The third question, did Trump say you would get on The Apprentice? She also answered yes. Now, the first two questions, the polygraph test administrator said that she was telling the truth. The third question about The Apprentice, he said the answer was inconclusive. But all of this just going to show, one more data point, one more sort of confirmation that Stormy Daniels was allegedly telling the truth about this affair, all while the White House is vehemently denying that this affair happened in the first place.
And so, Mark Garagos, first you on the lie detector test. This is the first time we're actually seeing the photo of her all, hooked up for this In Touch magazine article. Lie detectors are not generally admissible in court. Is there any chance that there would be an exception made in this case?
No, there's little to no chance that there would be an exception because it's not admissible in either federal or state court in almost all jurisdictions. But it is admissible, obviously, here in the court of public opinion, although I'm not sure that anybody, pun intended, that this is going to move the needle. I think most people accept the fact that she did have an affair with Donald Trump. I think that's kind of beyond question. Maybe I'm naive or in a bubble, but that does not seem to be up for grabs.
What do you think about this?
I think the only person who seems to be convinced that it didn't happen, or at least representing it didn't happen, is Donald Trump. But certainly the polygraph is out there not for the legal case. In fact, I think most of what Stormy Daniels and her lawyer are doing, have been doing over the past couple of weeks,
court of public opinion,
is not about the legal case. The legal case is a highly technical case. The interesting aspect of the legal case is that Donald Trump himself did intervene in the arbitration last week to say that he wants damages. That's an admission that he was a party to the agreement, which the original defense is that he wasn't a party to the agreement. But I think at this point, that's almost all beside the point, as we're talking about the polygraph test, whether it happened, and Donald Trump's painted himself into a corner because he can't really respond without admitting that it happened, which seems to be something that he's not willing to do.
It seems now he's definitely linked to this case. And then there's this case, Mark Garagos, and then we've been talking about these two other stories involving Donald Trump, these other two women one of whom, this former Playboy playmate, Karen McDougal, who basically was paid all this money by the National Enquirer to get her story out involving a story with her and Donald Trump. And instead it was a catch and kill, that she was never able to get the story out. Now she would like to, right? And number one. And number two, Summer Zervos, who is now suing for defamation, and this judge ruled today that case can in fact go forward. She says she was inappropriately touched by Trump, and that story came out before the election, and he immediately called her a liar, ergo defamation. All of this is happening all the while this Russian investigation, Bob Mueller, and are we potentially thinking of a president being deposed in these cases involving women all the while he's being investigated with Russia?
I think that it's clear that he's going to be deposed. I mean, the Zervos Summers case, clearly he will be deposed. He's going to be deposed in the Stormy Daniels matter. The only question is he going to be deposed and will it be public through the court, or is it going to be in connection with the arbitration proceeding? McDougal's case brings up something I think also that's quite interesting. I can't understand, or I've been speculating, I suppose, that one of the reasons he's been going so hard and Cohen has been going so hard into Stormy Daniels' situation, is that she had something, whether it was documentary evidence, whether it was texts or photos or a voicemail or something like that. But I think that maybe a corollary to it is, if it turns out that there's more than 3 or 4, and it turns out maybe there's double-digit NDAs out there, and all of these people start coming out, that may be what they really are afraid of, that you're talking about multiple, and not just 1, 2, or 3, but tens of NDAs out there that they've been, and there's a pattern or practice to that. And we saw what happened with Weinstein. Ironically, they just went into bankruptcy, the company did yesterday, in start to finish 5 months. So these things tend to unravel once you get a little traction.